So maybe I could start off with a quick introduction to you. So everyone, this is Sharlene Johannesson. Sharlene is a qualified counsellor who delivers counselling services, but you also may know her as the founder of the Inner Drumbeat program. And I'm really excited to chat with Sharlene today to, talk about your really exciting story, because as I understand it, you have a big story behind you. And can you tell us a little bit about you and who you are?
Hi, Emma. Thank you for having me on this new learning experience on not face-to-face, but kind of face-to-face.
It's weird, isn't it?
So yeah, I just say, be gentle with me. I'm not 21 and I'm trying to learn all this new stuff. But anyway, like I said, I'm Sharlene Johannesson, and I was born and raised in Chicago and lived in New York about 15 years, and then went from New York to Irimple.
To what?
But we'll probably leave Irimple, which is right next to Mildura, which is 1,000
really?
people. And yeah.
Oh,
New York
wow.
to Irimple. They have a pub, a post office, and
Not much else?
I still remember standing in front of the post office and thinking, where am I? Where's the city? And somebody said, oh no, there's a city. And I'm thinking, I didn't see skyscrapers.
No,
Skyscrapers that we know in Melbourne and in the cities. And it was Target. That was in the city. And I went, oh my goodness, that's it. Target and a pub and a post office. Anyway.
It's unreal, isn't it?
You know, I always say sometimes you just have to hang on to life with both hands and hope you don't land with too much of a thud.
I like that.
Anyway, yeah. So that I was in Mildura. Well, it's Mildura right next to Irimple. So we're living in that area for about 20 years. And I recently have moved to Wallen, which was probably about a year ago. And I was thinking about retirement, and I went, after about 6 or 7 months, I thought, no, I'm not ready to retire yet. I have too much to give. And I became a counselor about 8 or 9 years ago. I went back to school when I was in my 50s, actually.
Wow.
And did my studies, took on 2 jobs to pay for it. And, but about 5 or 6 years ago, Centricare in Mildura that I was working for asked me if I would go learn this drumbeat program. And I think like I said to you, Emma, I had been in a bad accident and was in the wheelchair for months, and crutches and canes and walkers and all kinds of things. And but I was already feeling, I was more mobile. And when they asked me, I said, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go. And I flew to Melbourne for that. It was like 5 days of drumming from like 9 to 5. And it's called the djembe. And you have to wrap your legs around it. And the leg that was broken was a little bit still not as strong. And the gentleman that did the class just said, don't worry about it, and went over to the cabinet, whipped out the seatbelt, and hooked it around the back of my and hooked it onto the drum. And so I went, at that moment, I went, this program could be for anybody that has any kind of issues or disabilities or struggles, or just had an accident with a broken leg. And I went, this is good. This is really good. So anyway, I did the 5 days and went back with it to Mildura. And I was working at that time in domestic violence. And I did this program with a group of ladies. It was the first time I presented it. And I had to do it with someone that already was a facilitator. And you had to do the whole program. And they were watching me and encouraging me as a facilitator. And then when I got through the whole sessions, like there's 10 sessions, when I got through them all, then I was able to be the facilitator also. Like, I was signed off. I did the right thing. So we did this, the drumbeat program with the group of women. And if you can imagine how their lives are, in domestic violence. And nobody showed up. Then one would show up, and then two would show up, and then nobody would show up.
Yeah.
But halfway through the program, they were at the door before I even got there.
Wow. And what was the change?
I know. I don't know. Just that maybe the fun of it, the consistency of it. Because I said to my boss, I don't want it in a clinical setting. Because I think these ladies have enough clinical stuff like Centrelink and Center Care and any kind of programs that they have to do. And I just said, make it, I actually rented this inner city apartment that they had made in Mildura for like entrepreneurial people that wanted to start businesses, but on very low cover, low rent, and to encourage them.
Great.
So we had it in this little inner city apartment, and the ladies were saying, "Oh my goodness, this is like in the '60s." And I went, "No, this is like my bedroom." When I was because I'm a little bit older than you guys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They were just fantastic, like I said, and after we did the 10 weeks, I took them all out to breakfast, and I made certificates for them. And we were chatting away, and they said, "What are we going to do?" One person said, "What are we going to do for every Monday now for 2 hours?" And one lady said, "Here's my phone number." The other lady said, "Here's my email address." And I went, "Here's the back of me."
Oh,
I
fantastic.
leave you with it. It just.
So it created like those connections between these women and gave them a means of support within each other.
Yeah. And that's what you want. You don't want them to, you want to empower them. You don't want them to like count on you and control, you're controlling them. Another person that they're leaving that. They don't want that. They don't need that again. That's not that's not healthy. So you want to empower them to move on. And I still get a chill every time I think about that moment when they just all,
connected and you formed a network. And clearly this is a very special program. And just for those, I'm sure many people have come across what you've done with the inner drum beat, whether it be through schools or in the community. But just for everyone else, can you tell us a little bit about what the drum beat program is and what really makes it so unique and so special in its approach?
Well, I think because the one thing we talk about, Emma, is fun. Yeah. Fun is not overrated, or how do you put it a different way? Yeah.
It's a beautiful quote.
We need to have more fun in our lives. And that's what it is. It's learning different strategies and confidence and teamwork, because you're working with at least 6 other people or 6 other children. So when you start this program started in the 70s in Western Australia for drug and alcohol. That was their beginning. But it's such a eclectic, I guess, a program where just across the board, where the gentleman that taught me worked in prisons. I worked with domestic violence, women, and sexual assault. And you can work with preps and first graders. And it's just such a good program where it talks about self-esteem, assertiveness, resilience, relationships.
So what actually is the link between music and those therapeutic sort of benefits that you're talking about in terms of like building a connection with others, checking in with yourself? How does music actually bring that out in people?
Well, I think music, any kind, like music's been around for like generations. I mean, even somebody was telling me about like if I went into nursing homes with people that have dementia, that maybe that would bring back their memory, because there's a lot of memories held in music, and that's what it is. It's like the one at the beginning, it starts with this thing called the rumble, and like I would say, rumble if you had breakfast this morning.
Yes,
which is one of the So that would then you can, like myself as a facilitator, I could see that maybe 3 or 4 kids haven't had breakfast this morning. So there's already something I'm learning without being intrusive into their lives, you know? So then, and then it goes around the circle, you know, where they say, rumble if you have long hair, rumble if you had a fight with your friends today, rumble if you're feeling happy, you know? So that connection of and it's not like a musical thing. Like, I'm not teaching drumming. I'm not a musician, but the music and the feelings of how the interaction, I guess, with the questions and things like that, it just all kind of works together.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So you kind of encourage that well-being through, you know, checking in again, like you were saying, checking in. Has someone had breakfast? Has someone, you know, experienced a fight with their friends? And they do that in a really non-confrontational way. They get to express where they're at in their life, and yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? It's really amazing.
Yeah, and then they, you know, they might want to have that conversation about it, you know, later on, or, you know, I'm always there, like, before or after the sessions for that purpose, in case it brings up things that they need to discuss, or how their relationships are with their families. I mean, it's just, it's like learning how to deal with things, you know, like are you aggressive? Are you assertive? Are you passive? Like I said, even with a while back, working with a young boy with a lot of anger, and I saw such a difference in him over just a short, you know, a couple months. And we did they have this one part where you drum your feelings, and then somebody will dance, like, you drum whatever you think. Say you drum you're angry, then that person will dance like they're angry. And, you know, people have to figure out what they're doing, and how, what feeling they're drumming. And this little one said to me, oh, drum like you're angry. So I started beating up the drum, and he was kicking walls and jumping around and everything. And then he turned around. Yeah. We were in a safe area, big safe area. And then he turned to me and he said, now drum like you're exhausted, because that's how I feel. And he was 7 years old.
That's incredible.
I know.
That's so powerful to think.
I know. And that's what I mean. It's just, you get so much out of people through this program, and they just love it. And it's just, like I said, it's so much interacting and so much just everyday life with our relationships and our friendships, and peer pressure, bullying, but it teaches them how to deal with it and talk about it and work through it.
The next question I have is around starting something. And so you were able to take this drumbeat program and start it and create something amazing out of that made a huge difference in people's lives. I just wanted to know, what kind of advice do you have for people who might know of something such as a drumbeat program, or has another idea that might help people, and they want to make that idea come to life? What advice would you give to them to make their ideas happen? That was a lot of questions. I'm sorry.
Well, no. Yeah. I would say you just have to keep trying. I mean, and, you know, you get knocked down and you can stay there a while, you know, don't pack a suitcase, just bring a sandwich, just stay there for a short time. And then you get back up again and you try. I mean, when I first arrived in Wallen, Nexus and Nikki were the fantastic people that jumped on my idea like so quickly. I had just landed almost, and I was doing the Nexus, what do you call
Expedition.
it? Thank you. The expedition. And then, you know, and then I went and, you know, put myself in the middle of the market and did that. And in Kilmore at the handmade marketplace, knocked on their door, and they were quite happy to have me do a couple sessions in the evenings, and it still hasn't taken off like in a fast way yet, but that's okay. That's okay, because I really have a lot of faith in it.
Yeah, me too.
And it'll happen when it's going to happen. But I would say really, really, like, you try your best, but don't quit. And like I said, if you fall, you stay there for a bit, just take a sandwich. Don't take your luggage, because if you take your luggage, you know you're down there for the count. You're going to be there for a while.
I can imagine my sandwich being a big roll, actually.
Me too.
I used to say, take an hors d'oeuvre, and the kids went, take a what?
A what? I was just about to say, take a what?
So I went, take a bag of chips instead of a whole, It's metaphorically, guys, metaphorically. But, you just keep trying. And there, and if somebody says no, well, then you close the door and you say, okay, fine. But if they say yes, and they open the door a little bit, you stick your foot in, and then you stick your elbow in, and then you stick your face in.
I love that advice. So it's like about, sort of not waiting to necessarily be invited in, but to really go and get what you want.
And then follow up. I mean, I had somebody in Kilmore, the medical center, asked me for some information about the program. And I send through all this stuff on an email, but I have a letter sitting on my table that's going to go in the mailbox as soon as I can go to the post, and ask them if they received the information, and sending them more that are hard copies.
So it's about keeping persisting too.
So follow up is important. And it doesn't mean it's not, it's not intrusive. It's just after a certain amount of time, you follow up to see if they received your information or they're interested. There's nothing wrong with that. People get busy. Doesn't mean it's personal. They just get busy with everything else. And then they go, oh yeah, we've talked about that, blah, blah, blah. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's often the case is people just forget. And then when you remind them with that follow up, then they're like, oh, that's right. That was the thing that I was going to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when you think back to those first days when you had a group of women who had been affected by domestic violence, and you brought together that circle, and that was your first inner drumbeat program that you'd run, what steps did you take to get to that point?
Are you talking back in Mildura?
Yeah, like right at the I guess the outset. I'd love to hear about like your journey in actually getting that first group going and trying something out for the first time.
Well, considering it was domestic violence, right away you could say that it was a harder call for the women to even trust a different situation that was new to them. And like I said, I think what I wanted really to present, like I said to Emma before, to make it in a non-clinical setting was very important to me, because like I said, they have enough Centercare, Centerlink, all these places that are government that we need, but they're very, clinically, not inviting. So that was my first port of call. So I went looking for a place and went to the council and spoke to them, and then found out about this apartment. And then when I made the flyers, I'll have to send you one.
Yes.
It was not like it's all beautiful colors and blues and sky and everything. And then it says, let's just chat.
I love it. That's
come and just chat.
And
so it was not
gentle.
Sorry?
Yeah, so just like that really gentle introduction and sort of bringing people in that way in terms of that non-confrontational, beautiful environment, where they
definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I always say, read your audience.
Mm.
They'll tell you what they want, what they need, and what, and then you have to listen to that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so that's really important in any situation if you are trying to start something for someone is to be able to tailor that to that person or that audience
Yes.
you're looking for. So with in your case, tailoring it to women who had experienced domestic violence, it was important for you to create a program that was welcoming and inviting and somewhere where they could feel non-threatened or non-judged. So I think that's really important for people to think about when they start something is, how does that sort of how does that fit, how does that like sort of suit a certain audience, or how does that fit for that audience?
Yeah,
Definitely.
like even with when I did the market, I went to the op shop and just bought, I don't know, a few dozen scarves, like all
Yeah.
different colors, and I just put
They're
them on the
beautiful.
chairs, like to make it a little bit more decorative. But when it was a smaller group and an evening session in Kilmore, I let the people pick their own color. Like, how are you feeling today? You pick a scarf that says, this is how I feel. And you don't have to tell me. Just
Yeah,
pick it and put it on your chair. And if we want to talk about it, we could talk about it.
absolutely. Yeah, that's brilliant. That's really, really amazing.
Yeah. I even did the Cancer Council
Oh, really?
group of women. Yeah. In Mildura. That was quite challenging. When they asked me, I kind of thought, I don't know if I could do this. And after I kicked myself in the ass and said, Shar, you're not the one that has cancer. You can do this, So, they had like an evening and they had champagne and they had nibbles and we had conversations and we had drumming. And it was beautiful. It was really, one lady said to me, you made us forget we were sick for a bit.
Wow. Actually, that segues really well into my last question, and that's about it must be really rewarding to know that you've started something that changed people's lives and has really made a big difference in the world. Do you find that feeling like it's really gratifying to have done something like this? What kind of reward is there in doing something like what you've done?
Well, it's funny, I guess I don't even think about it like that, even though you're saying it and I'm thinking, yeah, that
Yeah.
I am kind of, I guess, I don't know if that's humble or I don't have an agenda. I just want to make a difference in people's lives.
Absolutely.
Or is it just naivety? I don't know, Emma, but I just enjoy what I do, and I just enjoy what I do, and it's a gift, one of my gifts. We all have gifts.
Yeah.
And I just think if we don't use our gifts that we're given, it's kind of sad right there if we don't. So I'm sorry, maybe that's not really answering it,
No,
but
it's amazing. I think it totally comes through in what you're saying, how you just live and breathe what you do. It's almost just like it was not work for you, but it's just something that is like breathing or, walking around. It's
yeah.
just second nature.
Yeah. It just always, like even with a kid I worked with years ago, and I wasn't able to change things in his life too much. I didn't think, but 5 years later, he called me and said, thank you. I know I had to go on my own journey and end up how things went in his life, but he said, you were the only one that ever counted, like cared, So, I mean, I guess we just don't know how our words or actions will affect people. And I think that's why it's so important to be a positive in their lives than a negative, because the negative will stick just as much as the positive.
Yeah, that's really important. Absolutely. Sometimes even more so. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing, and thank you so much for everything that you've shared, Sharlene. It's really powerful and really inspiring as well. And I hope that you know, for anyone watching, hearing Charlene's story about, you know, sort of taking this therapeutic program that is really powerful and special, and making that into a program that she was able to implement in multiple different ways and affect multiple people's lives by, you know, sort of giving them that supportive circle of people to play drums with, but also to connect with. I hope that inspires everyone who's watching to think about something that you might want to start, and look at Sharlene and how she's implemented this, and see that it's possible to do so. So thank you again, Sharlene, and